Hello friends, this is Scott. This is approximately a week ago, and I was out on my back deck in the morning having a cup of coffee, and I heard the beautiful sound of sawing and chippers at work. So they seemed to be fairly close to the homestead, so I took a little drive, and I found them right up the street. They were at a neighbor's house about 2 blocks away, cutting down two huge poplar trees. And so I talked him into bringing some wood chips over. Now, I think the days of free wood chips are over. I did have to pay for these, so I think I paid a little under $250 for probably over 20 cubic yards of wood chips. Just to show you what that means in Salt Lake City, if I was to get just bark, not the good wood chips like these, but just bark, it would be about $135 for 2 cubic yards, plus I'd have to go get it and then haul it, and with gas and everything else. So for less than the cost of 4 cubic yards, I got 20 something. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this stuff. Now the first load did have some pine needles in it, so I think they must have come from another job. They had just started this huge job just down the street. So I was able to get again two truckloads, and there's a lot of wood chips there. So yeah, they're not the prettiest decorative looking material, but they are perfect for what I need. And this is a godsend because going into fall, I want to be able to put the gardens to bed and get them all tucked away and ready for next year. And this is a godsend to have these today. So I used the last bit of my cardboard to make a path in front of the strawberries. And again, I need to put formal edging into these beds or build the beds up, but just haven't had the resources or the time yet. So yeah, we'll get to that. But so I got excited and had to get the wheelbarrow out and get a few loads of these wood chips used up right away. And then it reminds me how much work this is. So yeah, it takes a lot of scoops with a shovel to get this wheelbarrow loaded, but it's good stuff. As you see in the background, that's the old high school in my little hometown here now. And it's now owned by a private individual who doesn't seem to be doing anything with that property, but it's kind of a pretty building right behind the homestead, or I guess in front of the homestead. But anyway, wood chips. Why wood chips? Well, I've always talked about the 3 factors that I use wood chips for, is to suppress weeds, retain moisture, and provide fertility over time. But there's also a 4th reason, which is provide insulation, which I'll show you a little bit of that today to certain types of plants. And the garlic is going to get some of these today. But the first step is I'm going to use this for pathways. Now, why are wood chips such a good thing in the garden, especially when they're just freshly ground up from live trees? Well, they have every bit of what you need to make compost in a tree. So you've got all the carbon, you've got the nitrogen, you have the air, and the stuff's moist. You have the moisture. So it has all the materials after these trees have been chewed up, and it has everything you need to make good soil. So these wood chips will not last very long. This isn't a long time solution to any type of a landscape mulch issue, but they are all about fertility. And again, I'm going to use them for weed suppression right here along the strawberries, but it will make great soil over time. And I'm excited about that. But it's not the prettiest looking material right away. But again, the leaves will brown out and it'll all die out. I need to formalize those beds a little bit more and do a lot of weeding. And I am out of cardboard, so this will be a fall work in progress. So for the next month or so until the snow falls, I'll be trying to collect cardboard and keep on keeping on. Now, this is the next morning as you see the steam rising off this compost. Now it's probably in the 40s, high 30s or 40s. So you see, even in a day, this stuff's probably over 100 degrees in the middle, and in a couple of days, it'll be about 140, 150 degrees probably. So I decided to use some of the mulch to be around my garlic bed that I planted. This is the fall garlic that you plant because it needs an overwinter cycle. And then in the spring, it'll come up again and keep growing. And then about July down here, June in Salt Lake City, it'll be ready to harvest. Now, I am not going to put the mulch right on top of the garlic at this point. I will later, whether it's going to be this material or leaves or compost or things like that. The reason being is this is an insulation, and I want the soil to stay warm as it is getting up in the 60s still. So why cover them up when they can continue to get established and continue to grow until it gets a little bit colder? So then I'll mulch them in heavily. So there you go. I just mulched around the pathways around the edges and left the bed open. And I'll do a little bit more watering probably too. And then I'll, again, when it gets a little bit colder, next week or so, I'll be mulching this whole bed in. And also, I use the wood chips for what Justin Rhodes and Joel Salatin, people that watch the YouTube Homesteaders. This is a carbonaceous diaper for the chickens. And so the chickens are going to be the basis and continue to be the basis of my compost system down here. Again, I have compost bins and things like that, but the chickens are really the fertility factory for compost. And I'm going to throw these wood chips in here, and again, they'll manure and dig through it. And then, once or twice a year, I can pull this material out and I'll have ready compost. So yeah, it's all about the cycle of life. It's all about, making compost with what you have. Because again, things aren't getting any cheaper. Even wood chips now, you can't get free wood chips anymore, it doesn't seem like. So it's all about making your own and making do. And it is the healthiest stuff that you can have, is the stuff that you can make yourself. So I'm just going to throw it out through the pen. The only thing I don't like about this pen is the door isn't big enough for me to get the wheelbarrow in, but that's okay. It'll just be a pain when I'm loading it and unloading it, the compost. But I'm happy with this setup so far. I'm pretty pleased with the coop also. So taking a look at the chickens and this fresh wood chips in there, and they seem to like it. And there's a couple of them out. Now that they have the house, they seem to be lazier, and they like to hang out in the house more than anything. Now, I did mention in previous videos that I had a sick chicken, and this is the chicken that was the best hunter of grasshoppers and has lived a great life, but she has a foot issue and maybe some internal issues. So I spent about 4 days doing the hot water bucket treatment with her. And it's funny, put chickens in water and they can just sit there. So this, I left her in there for about a half hour each day and made sure got her out in time for the sun to dry her off and warm her up. And yeah, she seemed to love it and seemed to be doing okay. And right before I left, I fed her some tomatoes. And she's still hobbling around a little bit. Her foot's a little swollen, but she seems to have a great appetite still. And I was hoping for the best, but I had to go to Salt Lake for a few days. When I came back down to check on her, it didn't look good from what I'm seeing already. The other 3 chickens are doing fine, but all these birds are older, and it is a cycle of life. And the worst part of homesteading or having animals is that they inevitably everything dies. And she lived a good life and enjoyed her time down here, but she did not make it for whatever was wrong. And it is sad that you just can't take chickens, afford to take chickens to the vet, and whether a vet could heal a chicken anyway. Chickens are pretty, fragile creatures. They are little raptors when they're healthy, but then they can die for, they could be fine 1 minute and dead the next. So she had a great life. She's probably about a 5-year-old chicken. And like all of us, we all return to the soil eventually, and she will add to the fertility of this garden. And again, it's a sad day, but it's new possibilities for new chickens. And I've got to keep on swimming. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.